Coming up in this edition of Ball State Sports Links Be a Fan, it's our Best Of show. This is where we take our best stories from the entire year and bring them right to you.
That's right. We'll take a dive into the pool with Jake Brimmer and also learn about men's basketball player who used the U.S. as an escape. All that and more coming up on Sports Links Best Of show.
Ball State Sports Links Be a Fan is brought to you by Muncie Nissan. Shift the way you move.
Hello and welcome to Sports Links Best Of show, driven by Muncie Nissan. I'm Josh Blessing.
And I'm Ashley Reed.
Ashley, we have a very exciting show this month. This is where we combine all of our great stories into one show for you guys.
That's right. We're going to start out with a more remarkable story. It was recently nominated for what would be Sports Links' first ever professional Emmy. After a horrific diving accident, Jake Brimmer returned to the sport he loved. Learn more in this story produced by Chris Rankel, Chris Kaczynski, and Emily Barker. Presented by Fox College Sports.
Diving is a sport that's a lot like life itself. It has its ups, its downs, you fall, and you get back up. And being able to manage so many unpredictable twists and turns takes intense physical and mental concentration. Unless you're Ball State junior diver Jake Brimmer, then diving's just what you do.
If you ask most divers, say they'll really focus and try and visualize their dive. I don't like doing that because if I focus on it, I kind of worry about it. So I just kind of try and go up there and not think about it.
Jake is a fun teammate. When you come into practice, he always has a smile on his face, and he's just this unbelievably good diver.
He's doing very well, and quite impressed with the progress he's made since that day.
It was my freshman year. It was the Doug Coors invite.
We only had one more dive left. Jake is up there, and I just remember I was standing next to one of my teammates, and we were watching him, and we saw him take off, and we knew he was going to be close.
All of a sudden, everybody kind of stopped, and all this commotion went over to the pool. Someone said, Jake hit the board.
I didn't jump back enough. I just jumped straight up and flipped twice, and when I came around, I smashed my face all my face on the board.
Everyone was dead silent. The swimming stopped, everything stopped. No one knew what to do.
One of my friends, Jeremy, he jumped in. He was a senior my freshman year and swam me to the side, and then they got me on the backboard and pumped me full of medicine. It's hard to remember everything.
For weeks afterwards, I relived that same noise of him hitting the board, and it was just shock.
This was by far the worst accident I've ever seen.
Jake was rushed to local Ball Memorial Hospital for 4 hours before being transferred to a hospital in nearby Indianapolis.
I went and saw him at the hospital that night in the emergency room. To tell you the extent of his injury, I couldn't recognize him.
It was then the extent of his injuries became clear. Jake had broken both cheekbones, his jaw, knocked out 3 teeth, and crushed his nose, breaking it in 4 places. He underwent surgeries to reconstruct his nose and insert metal plates in his cheekbones and jaw.
I think the worst part was my jaw being wired shut because I could eat only liquids, and it's just so weird going to all liquids. You're never full. It's not even eating. I lost a lot of weight.
We saw him 2 days later. We went and visited him down in the hospital, and we expected him to be, not quite himself, but we walked into the room, and even though his jaw was wired shut, he still kind of smiled, and he was joking around with us.
To stop and think about what he had been through, most people would have just hung it up.
Like after most of the surgeries, got home to recover. My mom always asking me about it every day. She's like, "You're not going back, are you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like I think I am, because I still love diving, obviously." Doctors said it's fine. They said if this happens again, it'll be a lot more serious. After I got my jaw unwired and like all of that was done, I started with weight training again, like in the weight room here, and then dry land training, which is like trampoline, and then dry board, which is it's a diving board, but you land on a mat. Just really slowly, gradually working up to diving again.
After getting knocked down, the only choice for Jake was to get back up. After months of training, Jake once again took the boards and dove back into the sport he loved. Despite everything he had been through, Jake Bremer emerged with his love of diving unscathed.
He got back on, and I mean, he had no fear. Like if that happened to me, I could never get back on a diving board.
Think about the conscious mind when you get up on the board. Are you going to replay that injury in your head and prevent yourself from performing an adequate dive? It doesn't seem to bother him. You know, it would have been, I guess, an easy way out, not to get back up there. You know, I think the sky's the limit.
It made me stronger, like mentally, because if I can go through this and then be fine, I don't want to say make it through anything, but there's not much that would stop me, mentally at least. Since then, I haven't even thought about it, to be honest.
Even though he doesn't think about it, what Bremer overcame took more mental strength than even the most difficult dive. After all, they say diving is all mental. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Chris Rankel.
Luana Melvin competes in the hammer throw. After throwing in the MAC championships as a sophomore, she was hospitalized with an unforeseen illness that affects her still today. However, her high spirits have helped her persevere. Check out her story, produced by Kevin Thurman, Brad Daly, Luke Magsamen, and Palmer Durr.
Luana Melvin was a young lady at Bowling Green, Ohio. She's a great athlete. She's an even better person.
My freshman year, I came in here with the goals hoping by now I'd be a MAC champion with the ring.
Luana's redshirt freshman year, she ended up going to the conference meet. She was throwing the hammer really, really well. And I thought, okay, you know, I've got one. I've got a young lady in the throws that I can see where we can build on the future. It was about 3 weeks later, Coach Limbo had just been hired. He came up to me and asked me how the Melvin girl was doing. And I said, she's going to be really good. He goes, no, how is she doing?
I told my mom I wasn't feeling well. I was going to health center. By 5 o'clock that night, I was in the emergency room.
And he then relayed to me, well, she's in the hospital and has had kidney failure.
Coach Heisler has done more for me than I could ever imagine. I just couldn't, every time I picked up the phone and called him, I just cried because I didn't want to tell him I couldn't be on the team anymore. The weirdest thing of it all is when I was actually had the courage to call him, he was walking in my door.
And I'm like, what is going on? And she goes, well, I didn't want to bother you. And, you know, come to find out she's got complete kidney failure. She's on dialysis 3 days a week, hours each day.
It's stressful on the body because it takes out all of your nutrients and along with all of the bad things that your kidneys normally filter out for you. So at the end of dialysis, depending on how much you get taken off of you, could depend on how you feel for the day.
Strength training, everything that you have to do to be really good at this event, it's affected her in a negative way. And yet, she's never, ever, ever, ever use that as an excuse.
I'm pretty much at the lowest I've ever been. My body hurts, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm old. And I wish I was at the top of my career, but I just have to keep telling myself, like, you may not be there, but you still have the opportunity to do what you love. So that's what keeps me going.
Sometimes you can tell when we're practicing that moment hits her. Like, you know, that felt really good. That should have gone a lot farther. But I can't do the work that will actually result in that happening. And you can see the frustration. Never complains, it's just frustrating. I can't even imagine what that's like.
There's days where I just want to give up, and I'm just like, is it really worth it? Like, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, it would be so much easier if I didn't. But then at the same time, I know in 4 years, when I look back at this, if I don't finish, I'm gonna be disappointed in myself, and I'm gonna regret it. The team has helped me get through this so much.
All the throwers, we would go get her food, get everything we needed, go to dialysis, and wait.
And we'll just roll right on to the next track meet, and then just like nothing ever happened, when we get there, people don't know what we've gone through that day, but we just compete.
Her teammates have continued. They've elected her as team captain. She's our SAC representative. I'm gonna miss her when she's gone.
If I never was in this situation, I think my life would be totally different. Honestly, I think before I was selfish. I cherish a lot more things now, and the time spent doing little things like going to practice, I realized that there's so many people that will not have the opportunity to be an athlete at a college level, and I do. When something that you love so much is that close to being taken away from you, and you're told that you'll never be able to do the sport you love again, that's when you realize what you have. Like, it's so easy to take things for granted until it's gone. The kidney transplant for my blood type in Indiana, the waiting list is anywhere from 3 to 4 years. I've been on the list for about a year. It definitely teaches you patience. Hopefully it ends with a successful kidney transplant and I can share my story with more people.
I've coached a lot of national champions and All-Americans, and Luana has the heart and the work ethic. She'd be a great addition to anybody's program, regardless of how far she throws.
Mading Tak was born in a country where working hard wasn't an option. It was survival. He escaped to the U.S. to play basketball, where he ended up here at Ball State with Majuk, who came from his same tribe. Here's his story, produced by Palmer Durr, Chris Rankel, Chris Kaczynski, and Ben Johnson.
I was young. I was turning 14. There's no time for me to wait until I be grown or till so I can take care of myself. I don't want to live like the way we live in the past couple of years. I want to get a better life, you know, or maybe I can get to help.
In 1983, a bloody civil war erupted across the African country of Sudan. The war lasted 22 years, displacing millions and killing even more. In 1992, Mading Tak was born into the chaos. He would spend his first years of his life living in a refugee camp.
A lot of stuff that we left at home, we were lacking when we went away. So food was tough to get. Place to sleep was hard. You have to work hard to get build a house or something like that. In one town was my dad, and my older brother. And we stopped in this town, and it was one of the biggest towns in South Sudan, so they like bombed it every time. One of the bomb, probably like 25 feet away from where our hall was, and that was the scariest moment. The sound was, I couldn't hear it in 3 days. It scared me to death. That was like the scariest moment of my life. The fear was from the rebel Kanye. If Kanye comes in town, they don't care how old you, they will take you. My uncle always like hide us, like take us somewhere. I mean, if the gunshot is from one side of the town, he would take us to the other side of town, you know, just to make sure we're safe. I just felt that God was present on my side, that I get to live, you know, to see bright future in me like this. And I was excited for that I live for another day.
A future he would find after the war. While hanging with some friends, a man approached the 6'8" teenager and asked him about basketball. Medine had never heard of the sport. It was the beginning of a love that would eventually lead Medine thousands of miles away to Ball State.
It's been hard talking, not talking on the phone all the time with them, and sometimes I really don't want to talk, you know, because it's just, when I call my mom, she just be crying because she just want me to come back so bad. She's getting older, and she won't see me sometime soon. I believe one day I'll go back and see her, you know, and see everybody in the family.
It has now been 5 years since Medine left his family to come to the United States. The pain of leaving his loved ones behind is sometimes unbearable, but at Ball State he does not bear this pain alone. In Sudan, they are tribesmen. At Ball State, simply teammates.
Me and him, we are from the same tribe back in Sudan.
Ane Chol Majuk, Ane Riankura, fi Ball State University. We're really close, like especially we're able to speak the same language, being able to be from the same country, like seeing a familiar face. So it got us close together. So we're able to help each other out in anything. So it's been really close friends.
We both know language. We speak Dinka.
Our teammates be like, "What are you guys talking about?" And we're just making fun of them, so it's kind of funny, so it's kind of cool too. The only difference is like he grew up in South Sudan and I didn't grow up there, but we're able to relate on all the stories that are being told and the stuff he's experienced. One of the things that I took from it was be thankful for the life that I got, because not everybody got the same chance that I had, and that was I felt bad for like all the people that stayed there during the war. They had a really tough time. But I was just thankful that my family was able to move out of there.
It's just good that you have someone from same tribe or from your hometown that is on the same team, you know, because you don't feel alone with American around you, you know. It's not as bad because you feel like somebody from your family is here, you know. And we just look at each other as family.
Two teammates bound by blood. They spent their lives running from war. Now Majuk and Medine fight to bring Ball State back to the top. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Chris Rankel.
Freshman Eminal Arconada had more trouble adapting to Ball State than most. After moving from country to country and overcoming a number of obstacles, a special bond helped him adjust. Here's his story, produced by Zach Hughes, Luke Martin, and Chris Kaczynski. Presented by WMDH.
My life is been very hard.
It's been said, challenges can be stepping stones or stumbling blocks. It's just a matter of how you view them. Freshman tennis player Imanol Arconada has faced many challenges. Originally from Argentina, where he lived for nearly 14 years, his dad's job forced the family to move to Puerto Rico, a move that separated him from his extended family.
To move to different countries is a very difficult way of trying to adapt yourself, because I've been living in Puerto Rico for 5 years, but I haven't seen my grandparents and my family in 5 years.
The move led Imanol to Muncie, Indiana, 5,000 miles from home, to play tennis for head coach Bill Richards through a unique Ball State connection.
There's a volleyball connection. Imanol's father is a national volleyball coach in Puerto Rico, and the women's volleyball coach at Arkansas is a very close friend of Imanol's father, Ball State alum, a young man I know extremely well, Robbie Paliza, and Robbie is the one that actually called me.
Imanol graduated the May of his senior year, but technicalities with the NCAA kept him from Muncie for an entire fall semester.
He was not an initial qualifier with the NCAA clearinghouse, with the NCAA Initial Eligibility Center. His high school in Puerto Rico is relatively new, and they had not registered with the clearinghouse. So that is an incredible process. By the time it was discovered that his school was not registered, certified, I should say, by the clearinghouse, they couldn't get all the paperwork done in time.
Because of the delay, Imanol had only 1 week to adapt to life in Muncie and the brutal winter before being thrown into action on the court.
Trying to adapt here is difficult because all my life I always played outside with hot, and in Argentina it's cold too, but not compared here.
Not having time to adjust to everything, then just showing up in January and a week later we were playing matches. You know, it's really been a setback. I mean, I don't think Imanol's played as well as he's capable of on a consistent basis this year as a result of that.
One of the reasons Imanol endured, Paula Rodriguez, a senior women's player who also made the transition from Puerto Rico.
Something happens to him, like I can help him with his transition because he's basically new, he doesn't know anybody. So it's basically like I have him and he has me.
Trust me, she helped me in everything she can. Sometimes I get mad at myself. She's trying to calm me and trying to explain me how to deal with it.
A bond created between two players from the same country club in Puerto Rico meet again at Ball State.
I met him in my country club at home where I played. He's like basically a kid that played tennis there. We know everybody basically. It's a tiny island. Also, I played his sister when I was 16, so he was there, so I get to meet his family.
For Imanol, the move to Puerto Rico was a stepping stone, and Muncie is yet another challenge on his journey.
I really think that this is a chance, a unique chance. Try to do my best for the people that trust me and think of now that I am part of this big university and try to represent it as best as I can.
So far, Imanol has met the challenge, as his play propelled Ball State to its first regular season MAC championship since 2006. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Zach Hughes.
That's all the time we have for SportsLink's Best Of show. If you want to keep up with everything Ball State Athletics, like us on Facebook, just search Ball State SportsLink. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at BSU SportsLink.
Be sure to check us out online at ballstatesports.com/sportslink for more stories about our athletes here at Ball State. We had so many great stories that we weren't able to fit them all into this show, but there is a best of page online, so be sure to check that out. You can also catch us locally on WIPB, across the state on Comcast Indiana, and nationally on Fox College Sports.
SportsLink's Be a Fan show will return in the fall, but this time with new hosts. Unfortunately, Ashley and I are being forced to graduate, but we want to give a thank you to our instructors, Chris Taylor and Alex Carmen, along with our producers, Kevin Thurman and Brad Daly, and everyone else in the studio, behind cameras, everything. This experience has been awesome. So, for the final time, I'm Josh Blessing.
I'm Ashley Reed. Thanks for watching.